arduous journeys to get here, and we really appreciate you coming. This is our 2022 English Cornerstone, comprised of what's coming up next, which is the memoir class taught by Emmanuel Lipscomb, and then give him a hand, give him a whole arm. And after that, we will have the fiction, which is taught by Mary Neighbor. Okay. Priest and a rabbi walking to a bar. And then we will have the poetry presentation, and I'm Chuck Sullivan, the poetry teacher. So thank you all for coming, and I know that all three of the classes will do just marvelous work here. Mary, did you want to say something?
Yep, just briefly. Again, welcome, parents. We're so glad to have you with us today. We have 3 groups doing 3 different presentations. Just to give you a little overview. And our fiction group will be doing 3 presentations. So they'll be separate, and they will be making some transitions. So we'll just be patient with them as they make their very brief transitions. They've been practicing their hearts out, believe me. And I'll probably play a little music during our transitions to help them along with that. So with no further ado, thank you for coming.
Hello from the memoir class of 2022 at Governor's School East. Over the past 4 weeks, we have experimented with, read, and produced a plethora of memoirs, all which uniquely characterize the individual and showcase his or her account of memories past. And writing and analyzing stories of all natures, funny, scary, sorrowful, exhilarating, we have not only grown in our abilities as young and prosperous writers, but we have formed unbreakable bonds held together by a common love for storytelling. In brainstorming for our cornerstone, it was imperative to us that each individual had the space and opportunity to illustrate his or her respective style and experience. We found that writing letters to ourselves perfectly allowed for that criteria. Each letter is wholly and uniquely its own, crafted by a memoir student with care and deliberation. We hope you enjoy our stories. Thank you so much for your support.
Dear Haley, at the age of 10, you told stories about your life in a small, sparkly journal. As the sun filtered through the leaves of crimson maple trees in your yard, you chronically drafted lists of all the things you loved, hoping you wouldn't forget the smallest details. Chronic list making turned into drafting entries of your favorite conversations, the people you met, all recorded in a small black moleskin notebook. Your passion for keepsakes was a paradox for a fear of fading memories. The leather-bound notebook traveled with you and the planning never stopped. You were never scared of being a bad writer. You feared being a boring writer. You feared your voice would be recreated by another person and your syntax was simply subpar. So you conditioned your brain to constantly work. Work as in write, work as in plan, work as in overthink. You wrote when you were underthinking, you read when you were overthinking, and the duality was insufferable. Productivity consumed you. Through the haze of fear, the lists and the drafts allowed you to have an everlasting hold on your memories. Your mind is a mosaic of the aesthetics you gravitate towards and the nuanced experiences you will undergo. Like a sanctuary, your voice echoes inside your head as the letters fall onto the page. The people you adore, their laughter at the sound of firecrackers, their hearts as big as the moon, be astonished by their presence. As learning wraps its arms around the human condition in a warm embrace and whispers all the right things in its ear, lean into it and the fear will go away.
Dear Elizabeth, age 4. As much as you love her, you're not actually anything about her. Please start introducing yourself accordingly. Dear Elizabeth, age 10. Your friendship bracelet business won't go anywhere in the next couple of days. Bracelets for hope is a noble goal, but the SPCA really can't do anything with $3 donation music orders. Dear Lizzie, age 13. Smile and patience. You don't like them now, but you'll want to have them later. You're going to make it through this, and life gets so much better. Dear Lizzie, age 16. Please start making your Christmas goods early. You can't crochet 2 scarves 2 weeks before Christmas. First one took you 16 hours to finish on time, and I'm still catching up. It's been 7 months. Dear Lizzie, age 17, thank you for applying to governor's school. Watch out for the rap.
Dear Maggie, I chose to write to you on your first day of high school. You're 14. I remember my first day of high school, filled with so much anxiety and apprehension, but I hope yours will not be the same. I hope yours is filled with excitement. I hope you make friends with people you enjoy being around, and not people you feel pressured to be near. I hope you don't cut your long, beautiful hair, but you're impulsive, so I feel my efforts are futile. I hope you learn to love how you are naturally, and don't chase the unrealistic standard that you believe will make you easier to love. I would suggest you start to enjoy your alone time, because that tool might come in handy later in the year for you. I know I cannot prevent all the mistakes you will make and all the trauma you will endure, but I do want to assure you that it will be all right in the end. I'm going into my senior year. I'm 17, I don't have the same friends that you did. I don't have the same hair that you do. I like myself most days. I have an amazing best friend who you have yet to meet. I learned a lot from the last 3 years that have passed, and I've grown exponentially from them. High school is probably not going to be the best time of your life, but it will be memorable. I hope you take my advice and attempt to enjoy it, even when it sucks. Love, Maggie.
Dear Khadija, you completed your first day of fasting at age 6. After indulgently playing all afternoon with your cousins, you had to be dropped out of bed in the evening so you could break the fast on time. You were so proud, just as proud as you were at age 11 when you fasted the whole month of Ramadan. You wore a scarf for the first time as part of your school uniform in first grade. In second grade, you got your parents to buy you your first casual scarf and started wearing them out of the house. You learned how to play around age 6 or 7, and by age 8, you were praying regularly, at school and with your parents and siblings. In 6th grade, your self-confidence and faith reached their area. 7th and 8th grade, the only time you were in God was in the early hours of the morning, running to the bus stop, hoping the bus hadn't arrived yet. You only wanted to play when you needed or wanted something. You tripped to your parents about praying and treating it as a chore. Although your belief in God was constant, you hoped your future self would make up for your present negligence. Sports became your top rated on. You made small prayers before matches and in the brief breaks between pointing sets and tennis. None of it was constant, however, maybe a couple days here and there. Then this past summer season, you sought help from God in every one of your matches. In December, during inter-class, Boston and Shore and sport, you found yourself seeking God more and more. You started trying harder, setting alarms, downloading apps, and simple actions, asking God to guide you. I'm proud of you for making me reduce yourself when I thought I would only achieve in college or maybe even much later in life.
Dear Algebra, it will take you a while to fully come to terms with yourself. The way you can't do a cartwheel, run as fast as everyone else, or have trouble putting your hair in a ponytail. At some point, you will learn how to be comfortable in your skin, but you may not be the most graceful or athletic. Although you now feel inadequate and awkward in the gym, you will take advantage of being on the sidelines and use it to find freedom elsewhere. You're not aware yet, but you're a fighter. Your determination and perseverance will serve you well and increase your confidence. Your quiet observations will lead you to understand people on a deeper level than most can, and your keen intuition will soon lead you to improve the lives of many around you. When you pick up the pen, that is when you will feel free. You will begin to feel empowered and overcome an endless reward waiting for you. Writing will become more than your therapeutic outlet at the center of your future aspirations. The people closest to you are infinitely proud of what you've overcome and how you've used your strengths to dismantle an entire weakness with weakness. Enjoy coming into your own without wasting a second knowing your unique qualities and capabilities. The diagnosis does not determine your future, you will.
Dear Priya, it's been a minute since I've seen you young. As you get older, you may embark on many new outfits and fashion trends. This is great. Trying out different things will help build you and help you evolve to become the fantastic, beautiful, and humble person you are today. However, it is best for your safety that you don't go through with certain options. This way you can evolve with your dignity and talent. Starting off with Exhibit A, the monochromatic outfits. Look, we love being consistent, but someday you may feel the urge to wear a teal shirt, teal shoes, teal jacket, and teal pants. Please, for the love of God, refrain yourself from trying to put together this monstrosity. Teal is not your color, and you don't want to end up looking like a soap bar. Moving on to Exhibit B, no shoulder pads. Moving on to Exhibit C, no mustard colors. They're not cute. It's going to be hard trying to find the right clothes in middle school. There's going to be a couple cry sessions in the mirror. Don't worry about it too much. The clothes are meant to fit you. You're not meant to fit the clothes. Love your hotter, older self. Priya.
Dear Catherine,
You don't always have to be perfect. I know it may feel like it, but as a middle schooler, the whole weight of the world does not rest on your shoulders. You don't always have to be perfect. Every grade does not have to be triple digits for you to be satisfied. You don't need to score a goal every game. You don't even have to win every game. Yes, it's good to have big dreams, but being vice president is also impressive. You don't always have to be perfect. Every strand of hair does not have to be perfectly in place, slicked so tight to your head that you have no flyaways. All that does is make your head hurt constantly, so stop doing that every day. Why don't you have to be perfect? Because it isn't even possible, and holding yourself to those standards can cause you to burn out. It took too long for me to realize that I can be whatever I want to be, that I can do whatever I want to do, and that I don't need or want to be like anybody else. Just be you. You are beautiful, you are loved, and you are perfectly imperfect. Love your future self.
Dear Callan, you're 17 years old, sitting in the library typing this, outside speaking this. It's nerve-wracking. You're 14 years old, sitting in biology class at 8:30 a.m., achingly tired. You're 20 years old, doing God knows what, God knows where, each simultaneously and in equal measure. I'm 17, in the library. It's uncomfortably full of people you didn't expect, the perfect temperature to where your legs are cold but your torso hot. When I'm 14, the temperature gauntlet is much simpler, though much more painful. It's cold, unquestionably cold. A headache of ice pick on ice, a running nose of melted water from the blow's pores. Eyes ache from the onset of snow blindness, the bright light reflecting off the white room, off the cold itself, enraging the pick to strike again. You don't want to be here, but at least the experience is novel. Well, not novel. You are cold and will be cold and have been cold, and pretty much everyone else has, will, and is cold, but some people are particularly poetic about it. We can be pretty poetic about it. But Talon, I think that's the message of me telling you what you already know. You're the one in biology. We're still cold, but it's more complicated, less painful, and if we make it so, it can be meaningful. My cold shot is that God knows where it's going to be somewhere warm. I'm recording that here for posterity's sake.
Dear Mary, you aren't perfect yet. The truth is, you will never be the perfect girl that you wish to become. The days spent trying to live up to the gold standard in the categories of beauty, academics, and your social life, they're simply worthless. It is time to discard the feelings of vain, jealousy, and competition. It is time to take risks, enjoy life, and showcase your talents. It is time to begin your journey, the journey in which you will become an authentic, admirable, and sagacious human being. I know this may seem hard. I know you want to be the best at everything. However, this is not worth your time and effort. You will learn to enjoy the little beauties in life. Enjoy the things that make you happy, sad, and even confused. You're so young, but I promise you that life will get better. You will find happiness in your family and friends. Life is not about perfection. Life is not a competition. Your life is what you choose to make it. Don't conform to societal pressures, academic pressures, and social conventions. You're stronger and more beautiful than you'll ever know. Use the gift of life to make a difference, to lead, to inspire, and most importantly, to love. Yours truly, Mary.
Dear Sarah, you're 8 years old now and so full of life and love. You're confident, you tell jokes and laugh and sing in front of people. You love fashion, especially your light-up sneakers, which you triumphantly wear throughout the halls of Medina Elementary. You enjoy school and you found the joys of reading, writing, and learning. You like Hello Kitty and swim lessons and pizza. You like music, especially listening to it in the car with Dad. You feel your emotions intensely and you care deeply for the people around you. That will never change. I wish I could protect you from every bit of pain that you'll ever feel. I wish you could only ever feel the happiness and joy in the world. I wish the sun could eternally hang in the sky for you, never casting its face away to bring the night. I'm sorry that I can't take away your future pain. You may feel broken and hurt at times, but your broken pieces will eventually form a beautiful mosaic through which glittering arrays of light shine, casting your love onto the world. If only you could see me now, I think that you'd be proud. You could see a glimpse of me laughing with abandon, surrounded by the family and friends that make me feel so loved. You might also see me sad, with small tears flowing down my face, but now I understand that there is no bad emotion. It is healthy to feel. Sarah, if only you could see me now. I am not perfect, but I am genuinely happy. Find all of the things that make you marvel at the world with sparkling eyes, the things that make you feel truly alive, and chase after those. With love and admiration, your future self.
Dear Asher, we've got some stuff to talk about before you get to high school. First and foremost, you have to stop trying so hard to fit in You'll find your people in time, so take a deep breath and don't stress. Next, we have to work on finding a balance between trying new things and sticking to what you love. Because let's be real here, kid, you aren't happy when you're not on stage. Theater is what gets you through the hard times, and believe me, there will be plenty of those in the years to come. So don't waste time ignoring that part of yourself. I promise it'll be worth it in the long run. Speaking of waste of time, imposter syndrome is not worth your energy. I know how hard it is to hear that you're only there for diversity, but it's just not true. You can't internalize that stuff, kid. It'll eat you alive. Know that you are worthy of all the praise you receive, that you've earned all the positions you're in. I'm not saying you turn into an egomaniac or anything, but you deserve a little more credit than you're currently giving yourself. Remember, it'll take time to find your place, but be intentional about the relationships you create and know your worth. As cliche as this sounds, the best years of your life really are ahead of you. So enjoy them, kid, and good luck on your first day of school. Much love, AJ. P.S. Get a new case for your saxophone. It'll save me a lot of hassle.
Dear Alex, I don't really know what to say to you, if I'm being honest. In my mind, you're probably about 8 now, and the only thing I want to tell you is that I'm sorry. I used to stay up deep into the night, reading in a fervor to learn all that I could, just like you probably do now. I used to walk obliviously down halls, swinging my ponytail and smiling at everyone, just like I know you're doing now. In my plaid pink shorts and matching pink t-shirt, I didn't know about the whispers behind your back. I didn't know about the work you had to put in to keep people with you. All I knew, when I was you, was that I could trade Pokemon cards for people's favorites, and that I never wanted to be me when I was you. So, as the me that I am and shouldn't be, I'm sorry I'm not the me that we wanted. I hope that someday soon, a future us can say that she is that person, and that she's proud of us, and then you can forgive her.
Dear Simon, you learn early in life that most people are not permanent. At the early age you are at, it's easy to imagine life where everyone gets along and lives happily together forever. But that is not the truth. People will change and show their true colors like the leaves of the deciduous trees in the autumn, and they will leave you like isolated, like the bare trees in the winter. That does not mean that your time together wasn't beautiful. All leaves that fall used to be blossoms of vivid colors that fill the spring air with such a sweet aroma. You may feel hopeless and alone sometimes, but you will find that there are some people that you know who stay with you for as long as they can. Their love for you is like the few tall, standing evergreens on the mountain where you call your home. Rare, strong, and everlasting. Do not take these people for granted. Do not change yourself for people who are temporary, because you will feel exhausted trying to make yourself someone you are not. People will tell you that you are too nice. People will tell you that you say sorry too much, especially your soccer coaches when you are 9 years old. But the truth is that you are not too nice. Maybe you do say sorry too much, but you are working on that now. Your kindness is what you will later take pride in having. Because surprisingly, it isn't as common now as it is when you were a child. No matter what people tell you, you are doing the right thing.
Dear Anna Brooke, wow, you're 20 now. Today is July 13th and I'm currently attending governor's school. On March 23rd, when I received a letter from the Department of Public Instruction, I was anxious to discover what was hidden up inside the sealed anymore. As each one of my peers opened their acceptance or denial letter, my heart started beating rapidly. I was the last to open it. By just filling the envelope itself, mine felt heavier than everyone else's. I finally opened it, and it said, "Congratulations." I was overjoyed but hesitant. I didn't like the idea of leaving my family, my friends, my boyfriend, and my home for 4 weeks. That night, I had already made up my mind that I would not be attending. As the days and weeks went by, I began to rethink my decision about not going. Thoughts like, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and if I don't go, I will regret it the rest of my life went through my head. Finally, as the deadline approached to accept or deny the invitation to one of the most prestigious institutions in North Carolina, I accepted. As governor's school is coming to an end, I am extremely saddened to leave behind the friends I have met. We played tennis, sat on the quad for multiple hours, talking about our lives, laughed, and we even cried. At governor's school, I found out who I truly am, and it allowed me to step outside of my comfort zone and meet new people. As a girl who never left home before, I honestly don't want to go back. Governor's school is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm so thankful that on April 11th, I decided to change my mind and accept the invitation. I'm writing to you today to tell you if you don't take risk in life, you're going to miss the most beautiful things like I almost did at governor's school. No matter where life takes you, I will always be rooting for you.
Dear Ethan, hopefully you're doing well, but then again, why wouldn't you be? So young, like a blank canvas. How I envy your life, so simple and unapologetic, like a newly hatched chick. Will you spread your majestic wings and soar over the heavens, or will you travel the earth, gracefully bounding across this rain? I don't mind, really. So much rests on your shoulders, yet not a worry crosses your mind. But don't worry, I'll always have your back. You're a good kid, though I may be biased. Like the time when you crashed your bike, causing you and your brother to topple onto the unforgiving pavement. You were hurt, but you saw your brother crying. Whether you helped him out of guilt or some fraternal compassion I can scarcely remember, I'm grateful for laughing. I'm not trying to change the past. I just want to remind you to be confident in your decisions. Your life, so simple and routine, will get harder. Every decision you make will be to me, and as far as I'm concerned, that isn't a bad thing.
Dear Aubrey, at 10 you were obedient, always eager to jump on a stage and share your soul with an audience full of strangers. You felt your purpose was pleasing those around you and relentlessly pursuing the impossible dream that belongs not to you, but to the creator of you. At 13 you were insecure, stepping into the infamous teenage years with the desire to be wanted, liked, and loved. Always questioning your outfits, words, choices, and friends in an effort to curate a life around the approval of those standing on the outside yet looking in. At 15 you were rebellious. For the first time you tasted freedom, and oh, was it sweet. The rebellion was born of first love, and you quickly discovered that the potential a person, relationship, and future holds can motivate you to defy trust and stability, and instead crave possibility and independence. At 17 you were ambitious, willing to take on any challenge to inch closer to your mile-long goals. You kept pushing when others told you to stop, you kept running when the race was over, and you never lost sight of the glittering future you dreamed of. Today you are grateful, cherishing all the blessings life has to offer and making an intentional effort to live and breathe in every moment. Because moments are fleeting and today is a beautiful day to be alive. With love, Aubrey.
Dear Bridget, congratulations on graduating elementary school. I don't know if you understand what a big deal this is yet, but it's a big deal. Middle school is going to be interesting for you. I'm not going to lie, you'll have some rough times. There are people around you who won't treat you the way you deserve. You're not stupid, and yes, I'll say that right now. You probably already know who these people are. They act like you're invisible, like you're a silly toy we put away the minute something moves along. You're going to feel like you're not worthy of friendship or success. You're going to feel like you're not good enough. I know that sounds ridiculous and impossible to you now, and I love you for it. I wish I could put you in perfect, but that is important. I need you to know that it's not all bad, not by a long shot. Focus on the good parts, because those will pull you through. Someday you'll be confident and happy. Someday you'll be dancing in your best friend's kitchen while you bake a cake. Someday you'll be sitting on the floor at 2 a.m. singing your favorite songs to people who chose you and continue to choose you every day. What I want you to remember is that I'm proud of who you become, and who you are as you this letter, everything to me. I love you.
Dear Sarah, you have a piano lesson today. You haven't practiced enough this week, but that's okay. You'll sit down and play your piece, and when you're done, your teacher will say to you, "Be brave, Sarah." It's the same thing every time. The same advice that seems to define how you play. You see, she wants you to be unafraid and unforgiving. She wants you to let the sound crescendo and surge before the diminuendo brings it down to comfortable, light touches of fingertips. You thought that was what you were doing, playing with that foreign force, a brutal feeling in the soft palm of your hand. Be brave. Is it when you can hold steady against an unrelenting peace, or when you play just loud enough to make the sound echo? You'll never comprehend the weight of her words as you sit on the piano bench, embarrassed at your lack of perfection. The meaning will come to you comfortably or sadly. It will thrash in your stomach and hold your breath hostage. It will bind your anxious words and skeptic thoughts. It'll be there even when your mind wants to make a mockery of your spirit. Because when it matters most, to be brave will not come from the power of your hands or sharpness of your mind. Harrowed and built through imperfection, you will
like to remember things. I want to hold on so badly to everything. I want to remember my voice, the feeling of falling, the name of my imaginary friend. I want to remember the layout of my childhood bedroom, the color of the palm tree outside my window, the way everything softens when the sun is setting. It's all slipping away. I feel like rock. 3 weeks ago you wrote, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I don't think I fit in. Everyone is so talented and intelligent and multifaceted in a way I don't think I can ever be. There are so many things I have to do and so many names to remember, I can't keep any of it straight. 3 days ago, you wrote, I don't want to go home. It feels so distant now, like I'm looking out an airplane window and realizing how small everything is. It's distant, it's different here somehow. I don't mind the bad food or the cold showers or the little rat that chases me when I pick up trash. Sometimes I just sit and take it in. I look around and I know it's all temporary. That just makes it sweeter.
Is it on? Oh, cool. All right. Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for coming to share our presentation tonight. We cannot wait to share ours with you. Our group's presentation, titled Behind Our Eyes, was inspired by our shared experience of often trying to articulate our thoughts, but having so much more going on in our heads than we can convey by our mouths. This encounter with a limited voice has led us all to love the written word. And so today, we'd like to share with you a series of our vision boards that show who we believe that we are as writers and how GSE fiction has both impacted our creative vision as well as brought us all together.
Hey guys. My name is Shalette, also known as Jolly Jojo, as you can see the blue name tag. The creation of my vision board is who I am before coming here to Governor School and after who I became as a writer. I live in the same old life with the same options except for trauma, where I was lost and tired. I always loved reading books because it was a way for me to escape reality of my own trauma. Ever since collecting dark diaries when I was little, it helped me escape, helped me make up scenarios and different fantasies. I haven't written a story since 5th grade because I wouldn't know what to write and I wouldn't have the creativity. Coming to Governor School helped me realize that if I sit in the question of what to write, the answer finds me. I use my creativity as my voice and write fictional love stories with something intense. As you can see in my vision board, you can see my handwritten letter and quotes that I used in my unrelatable narrative story. This is the story where my imagination took control of my hands while listening to instrumental music that I always listen to while reading. Governor School and my fiction class helped me value the simple things that are pure and love, in which I can be perfectly me with the imagination and creativity that I have, and make my voice as my mark in fictional stories. Thank you.
Can y'all hear me? Okay. Alright. Hey y'all, I'm Olivia, or Missy Olivia. So with my boards, I put certain words or phrases that I personally try to live by, or capture in my literature, and I wanted to showcase different aspects of my life as well. For example, you'll see the phrase, make a big deal out of little moments, which is something I always try to fulfill when writing any assignment I may have in life in general. I also include words like ignite, awakening, free, joy, magic, insecurities, and family to showcase both the highs and lows I experience for writing what goes on within my mind. You may notice a few clippings that refer to music, for example, fairy tales and the guitar. And that's because I constantly have music on whenever I'm trying to express my thoughts on the page. And music serves as a big part of my everyday life too. Coming to Governor School has positively affected me because I not only remembered why I love writing, but I also reignited my passion for reading, which I haven't felt in a long time. I realized I want to be one of those writers whose story you can't put down and thoroughly enjoy. Sorry guys. I'm forever grateful to everyone here in my fiction class, and for always being so supportive and accepting, and thank y'all for your time.
Hi, and I'm Ashley, or Amicable Ashley, and that's the adjective I picked out on the first day of class. And everything on this poster board means something to me, including the overarching reason for the creation of the poster, English, or more specifically, fiction. And what a wonderful, truthful lie is fiction. false worlds with real truth attached to them, and it is a phenomenon that is only accomplished through fiction. Each aspect of this poster means something, and so long as these aspects stay with me, a part of me and who I am will always be in my writing, and a piece of me will be in everything that I create. And if you look towards the bottom middle, there are a few pictures of some of my family members. And my family, they taught me very important values, and as long as I remember that my family is always by my side, I will always have my values, and it will be in every piece that I write. Thank you.
Hi again. My name's Addison, or ambitious Addison, because all the other adjectives were taken on opening day, and also because I'm hardworking to a fault. My vision board shows the different aspects of who I believe I am as a writer, from the journalist to the novelist to the poet. I included pictures and quotes from books because, like so many other people here, I'm a writer because I was a reader first. I included words like advocate and community because I want to use my writing to cultivate change. I included pictures of the clouds, the eyes, and the quotes about goals because I'm a dreamer. And the pennies, the smiles, and the advice about being yourself is because although I'm too young to really know who I am, and sometimes too afraid to be genuine, I place a lot of value in authenticity. And that's who I really want to be as a writer, is someone who can valiantly defend her opinions, someone who can take risks with her storytelling, and someone who can pour herself into her pieces. I want to be fearless.
Hi everyone, my name is Shelby, or Sparkling Shelby, which is the only adjective I could nervously think of on the first day of class. On my vision board, I wanted to display how the inner workings of my mind look during my creative writing process, and how it has grown in the last 3 weeks. As you can see, it's pretty cluttered, layered, and extremely bright. I've always had an issue being able to separate one thought from the next. Before governor's school, I would write the beginnings of stories and never finish them. And the prompt for our first writing assignment was absolutely no different. My parents can contest that I was in a panic about this short story right up until I had to turn it in. Then afterwards, I was still so unsettled I completely rewrote parts of it. The next 2 prompts were a story following an unreliable narrator and a flash fiction. I still don't know exactly what happened, but I wrote both of these stories extremely quickly and without a second thought. For the first time ever, I completely thought out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to say. I'm not sure how Mary calms my manic brain, but it caused me to learn so much about my creative process and become someone I consider a real writer. Thank you. But governor's school is so much more than your Area 1 or your personal experience. So on the back of our boards, we wanted to show how connecting the experience is as a whole. As I'm sure any writer can tell you, having your work being read is extremely thrilling, but equally terrifying, and many of us were not fiction writers before we came to Governor's School East. However, through Governor's School, we have found a community of like-minded people who help us express ourselves in any way that we want, and Mary has inspired us to be vulnerable and express parts of fiction that we wouldn't have been exposed to before we came here. So in conclusion, we want to thank Governor's School for supporting us and Mary for guiding us through this journey.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Landon Knox, and you'll get to know the rest of my fiction friends as our presentation progresses. 2 of them, Kieran and Nia over here, will be putting together a map of our time here at Governor's School East as the rest of us are presenting. We really cannot wait to show you guys what we've done here. It's been amazing. With that being said, it is a truth universally acknowledged that reading fiction fundamentally changes who we are. It excites us. There is something magical about being thrust into a world that bears no resemblance to our own. Fiction allows us to experience unfathomable heartbreak, bottomless grief, unbridled joy, and deepest longing. We bleed and we cry for the characters we love, and in turn, they teach us to empathize with each other. Reading fiction shows us that our struggles are shared. We found that there is never a shortage of characters who have grappled with the very problems that we ourselves are trying to combat. And when trying to construct a theme for our cornerstone, we came across a quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald that sums up our summer perfectly. It reads, That is part of the beauty of all literature. You discover that your longings are universal longings, that you're not lonely and isolated from anyone. You belong. Before coming to Governor School, the English fiction community had just a few commonalities. The clearest of these was a shared appreciation and passion for reading. We quickly found that we had the same first love, literature. Each of us expressed this love differently. Some could devour horror novels, that's me. Some enjoyed fantasy, like Anika and Kieran. And others, like Nia, spent time reading classics like Pride and Prejudice, as one might have gathered from the opening line of this speech. We each had our favorite authors, our favorite genres, and our favorite books. Reading allowed us to not only escape from routine, but also to explore things that we weren't sure about, whether that meant the world or about ourselves. Our literary origins defined us far before we came to Governor School, and the experience with literature that we have brought into this space has helped shape our community tremendously. So let's look at some of the things that we brought with us. Abby's favorite quote is by Betty Smith, and reads, "From that time on, the world was hers for the reading. On that day, when she first knew that she could read, she made a vow to read one book a day as long as she lived." Anika's from Cecilia Ahern, "But I can now understand why people read, why they like to get lost in somebody else's life. Sometimes I'll read a sentence and it will make me sit up, jolt me, because it is something that I have recently felt but never said out loud." Betsy's is from James Hurst. "All of us must have something or someone to be proud of." Kieran's from D.E. Schwab, "You must make time for that which matters, for that which defines you, your passion, your progress, your pen. Take it up and write your own story." Nia's, which is also from D.E. Schwab, "Most stories don't happen in single gulps. They happen one chapter, one page, one word at a time." And finally, me. My favorite quote comes from Langston Hughes, and it is in fact an entire work in and of itself. He writes, "The calm, cool face of the river asked me for a kiss." Now, whether or not we intended to, each of us brought preconceived notions and developed ideas about books and reading to Governor School. But in spite of our differences, these ideas coalesced and became the ties that bound us to each other for the entirety of this summer, and the ties that will bind us throughout the coming phases of this journey that we call life.
Those of us who write at home know that writing is the ultimate form of self-expression and exploration of identity. Writing allows us to peer into our souls and share the intimate truths about ourselves that we would not otherwise be comfortable revealing. While our instructors here at Governor School have consistently told us that fiction is a lie that tells the truth, we know that, at its core, fiction is just truth in its purest form. Not only were we able to create fresh works of fiction during our time at Governor School, but we were also able to share and reflect on the pieces that we created while tucked away in our bedrooms late at night, the pieces that we wrote hastily, trying to jump out all of our thoughts onto paper before they left our heads. And for us, that's the beauty of writing. Even without Governor School, our writing has always been the most authentic version of ourselves, the version that we don't typically let others see, and maybe even the version of ourselves that we don't want others to see. Whatever the case, writing has provided, for all of us, an outlet that allows us to release our emotions and inner sentiments through the birth of a story. These stories we create are not just entertainment for readers, and they're not merely a product of our active imaginations, although I'm sure that still plays a part, but our stories are a product of everything that happens to us in our day-to-day lives, and everything that we hope to see and achieve. It is our way of letting go of the things that hold us down. And because we all share this beautiful mode of therapy, we are forever connected. Before we came here, we were hard-pressed to find someone as passionate about writing as we are. The second that we walked through the doors of Lux 107 on our first day back in June, we were forever changed and are forever surrounded by the only people who truly understand our minds.
Each of the works that we have read here have taught us new lessons and exposed us to sorrows at the expense of our new favorite characters. We read from the perspectives of young children, couples, and so many other people trying to find their way in the world. Together, we traveled from Spain to New York to Germany to Hillville, Versailles, Illinois. While reading our long fiction piece, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, we all cried for Oscar when he solved the final reconnaissance expedition left for him by his father, who was killed in 9/11. The short story You're Ugly Too allowed us to examine our own lives as we watched protagonist Zoe grapple with her identity as a woman in contemporary society. We all felt hollow alongside Francie when her writing and her dreams were belittled by her peers in the short story How to Become a Writer. And finally, while reading Hemingway's Hills Like White Elephants, we all felt the burden of a couple struggling to communicate. We built our English fiction community as we made our way through these works. People bond over shared experiences, and we were certainly no different. As Mary can attest, our group was extremely loud and became incredibly close, sending late-night texts to see if anyone else was still awake reading. We always were. Our group of English fiction students has become a community because together we experienced a wide spectrum of visceral emotions that fiction writers have portrayed to us. We came to love the books, stories, and other pieces of writing that we read here, and these pieces of literature became who we are and shaped our diverse community.
Writing has also been a core component of our curriculum here at Governor's School. Those who avidly write at home were given an outlet to display their talents, and those unaccustomed to writing blossomed and were enriched through composition. Many of our characters dealt with things that we deal with and acted from our own lived experiences. We modeled our writing after Ernest Hemingway and Jonathan Safran Foer, and in these exercises we had to find the right balance between nuance and definite and write from perspectives that differed from our own. We continued weaving the web of our community by supporting each other's writing. We made ourselves vulnerable to each other by expressing some of our inmost desires and deepest insecurities through writing. Allowing others to read something you've written is one of the most genuine forms of vulnerability, and we experience this almost every day. It was always difficult to share our writing because, as one of our students wrote, we were so preoccupied by our own short lives that we didn't even know how much help we had. Our writing was the primary way that we discovered and explored our own humanity here at Governor's School, and our community was knit together as a result of sharing writing. We wrote about people running away from time and people running out of time. We wrote about friendship, love, and everything in between. We wrote about family, both given and chosen. But most of all, we wrote fiction to convey deep-seated truths about ourselves. We expressed ourselves, experienced discomfort and vulnerability on purpose, and learned the joy that accompanies sharing a piece of ourselves with the world.
For all of you in the audience who didn't spend your last 4 weeks reading, writing, and talking about reading and writing, you may be wondering how these truths universally acknowledged about fiction apply to you. While planning this speech, we knew we wanted to go deeper than a recap of our time at Governor's School East. We wanted to share the integral lessons we've learned about community. And here they are. Community can be chosen. It is developed through vulnerability, transcends background and upbringing, and is shaped through shared emotions.
The communities with which we choose to surround ourselves ultimately become who we are. They create, raise, and mold us. Everyone has the power to influence our constantly changing society for profound good, and it is our ultimate job as writers to craft stories that connect our communities. As we move out into the world to continue composing the stories of our lives, we are taking ownership of our utmost goal: to create a community that is content to hold us.
Thank you all so much for coming today. For our presentation, we chose to create our own version of a TED Talk, which we call Gov Talk. So let's get started.
If I were a bagel, I'd be cinnamon raisin. Sweet and delicate with a little bit of spice, and every so often you'll find raisins, like my perfectionism, or how my eyes can change between blue and green, or my addiction to diced peaches, Muriel Folk.
After the countless times I've fallen, hopes and dreams are what helped me stand again. Izzy Figueredo.
Where do I go from here? I'm not really sure, but if you'll walk with me, we can find out together. Felicity Van Miller.
I was born cursed with a deadly combination of inherent skepticism and a thirst for knowledge. Danielle Kennedy.
I am a person made of yarn. You see one big mess, but if you
find the end piece, the story unravels itself. Sarah Laura-Franco.
My story is not just mine. It belongs to the people before me and those who will come after. So that's where I'll begin, with the stories of others that inspired me to write my own. Katie Madsen.
What you just heard were the introductions to the stories of our lives. These are merely the surface of who we are, who we used to be, and who we shall become. These words are unique to us. No other person could pick this selection of grammar, words, and syntax. Not our parents, siblings, spouses, friends, family, loved ones. Just us, and only us. Tonight, I want to introduce you to the theme of voice, specifically finding your voice as we have today.
J.T. Bushnell, author and professor at Oregon State University, describes voice as a force that thrums when it's right and twangs when it's wrong. Voice is more than just the structure of your sentences or word choice. Your voice, as a writer, is the vessel you use to convey truths, feelings, desires, and pains. One can even find oneself by speaking through a character one creates. There is value behind metaphor, irony, subtext, and allusion, yet truly discovering your voice can mean understanding your character, maybe even more than you understand yourself. Voice is figuring out how to be empathetic towards a character and their situation, even how to be empathetic towards a real person and their situation. My anxiety about school and grades or relationships can be communicated in my writing as a storyteller, but no one would have to know it's about me. Voice is also a means through which writers can create their own ending, their own fantasy. Maybe they've never fallen in love, but with their writing, it's easy to pretend they have. Voice isn't verbal, but it's spoken. Everybody finds their voice differently. Here's how we discovered ours.
I found my voice staring at a blank sheet of paper. I was trying to write a fictional story, but I couldn't come up with any good ideas. Instead of having a lot of story ideas bouncing around in my head, all I had were thoughts about my own personal life. I pushed those thoughts away and started writing my story over and over again, hitting the backspace key more times than I could count. It wasn't until I was ready to give up when I realized what my problem was. I was writing the wrong story. All of the thoughts in my head had the potential to come together to form one meaningful story. My fingers hit the keys, avoiding the backspace key, until my thoughts had been crafted into something that was truthful yet still fiction. Writing became my way to vent. It was a way for me to better understand myself and my life. Finding my voice meant putting pieces of myself into every story I wrote to allow those pieces of me to be heard.
Chapter 17, Late Nights and Blinding Lights. 2 a.m. I'm awake. The rest of the world has gone to sleep, except for me. I lie in bed, staring up at the ceiling, wondering why I can't just seem to slip off. I wonder why my mind is so restless. 3 a.m. I give up. I grab my computer and crack open the screen. I open up the document that, about an hour before, I couldn't even get a sentence out on. The document stares at me, blank. I put my fingers on the keys, and I start typing. 100 words, 1,000 words, 10,000 words. The words don't stop. I am simply the vessel from which my words come into creation. I read the work, my vision gets blurry, my face gets blank. I don't understand why. All of the things that I couldn't say, my life upon a page, I delete it. But its memory remains forever.
I found my voice when there was no other voice around me. 2 hours of sleep and 3 hours of insomnia. My attention span lasted less than 5 seconds on every app I opened. I lay in my bed, hungry and wide awake. But the Kit Kat stash in my closet wasn't what I was hungry for. I was craving something that could satisfy my urge to use my voice, to take any path and not know where I'd end up, to find a place where I could tell my story and no one would have to be there to watch, a destination even where I could write my own fantasy and pretend that, for a little while, my life was what I wanted it to be. I picked up my journal and scribbled song lyrics with the moon as my only source of light. That was the first love story I wrote.
I found my voice at rock bottom. Quarantine had left me sulking alone in my room for hours, feeling like a prisoner in my own home. And I spent so many nights wondering why I had so much pent-up emotion built up inside with no meaningful way to express it. I had no mouth, yet I loved to scream. It was one night while I was tossing and turning in my bed, unable to fall asleep, that I decided I needed to get up and write. And so I did. I got out of my bed, went to my desk, stood up my computer, and I typed and typed and typed and typed for hours. And by the end, I had many, many pages of mostly nonsense. But it was nonsense that was mine.
To me, voice is a form of expression, an outlet, a portal. Our voices allow us to be open to ourselves and be heard. Voice helps us in trying to find out who we are to others and who we are to ourselves.
I'm not entirely sure what my voice sounds like because I don't believe I've really found it. I think it comes to me in passing, in the moments I need it the most, like when I'm trying to be brave. Or, in my writing, I sometimes catch glimpses of what makes my story unique, the sentence style I use or the life experiences I choose to reference, but that is often irregular or confusing. I'm still learning about myself, and I'm constantly growing up, so my voice changes with every new thing that I go through. I believe that one day in the future, I will be reflecting on the past, and I'll suddenly realize what my voice sounds like, and it will be clear that I've been using it my entire life.
Finding your voice is very important, whether you find it through writing or not. We as writers are talking about finding our voices through writing, but many of you may have found your voices in very different ways, or you may not have found them at all yet. Our voices are what we use to tell our stories. They are who we are as people, and they are built from our experiences and from the stories we read and write. By finding your voice, you're able to connect with readers as an author on a deeper level. Voice gives a story meaning. It builds character and mood and tone. It builds stories. Many times, when authors use their voices, they are inserting small parts of themselves into their writing. Finding your voice allows you to create a more impactful and meaningful story.
For better or worse, I'm not easily bothered.
The cracks of a broken heart can be wonderfully filled with friendship, love, and forgiveness. I would know.
I constantly struggle with how others will remember me.
So here's the story, the boring, single story, because it's the little one that matters.
You basically have to come to the conclusion that everything is always everything else.
And I don't get to choose which of these facets of my life other people perceive.
I wouldn't call it outstanding, but it was definitely something.
It's sort of like more likely than not to justification,
The anxiety
For better or worse, you will learn your voice and a boring, conventional life of I'm not necessarily sure how I got here, but some people judge choices. Where am I? I'm starting to find out what I'm doing, like the shiny,
I'm not entirely sure how about
Fiction is a lie that tells the truth. Through fiction, we tell our own truths. We're held a prisoner to our writing, yet it's what sets us free.
Sometimes in a world full of voices, the only voice you don't hear is your own. It's then that you realize
For the poetry presentation, we're doing what each one of the marvelous poets that I've been lucky enough to have this summer has written a poem based on a poem by Margaret Atwood. And Margaret Atwood is a marvelous Canadian poet, fiction writer, and author of The Handmaid's Tale. And the poem that we looked at in class is called Variations on the Word Love. So I was going to read that poem to you so you get an idea, and each one of the poems that each student has written takes a particular word, and it's variations on that word, like what the word could be pain. And so I'm going to read the Margaret Atwood poem, and then I'm going to read a poem by Cameron Rawls, who was in the class, and she's home right now, and couldn't make it. She went home and is getting better and seems to be fine, but would like to share her poem too. So this is Variations on the Word Love by Margaret Atwood. This is the word we use to plug holes with. It's the right size for those warm blanks in speech, for those red heart-shaped vacancies on the page that look nothing like real hearts, and laced, and you can sell it. We inserted also in the one empty space on the printed form that comes with no instructions. There are whole magazines with not much in them but the word love. You can rub it all over your body. You can cook with it too. How do we know it isn't what goes on at the cool debaucheries of slugs under damp pieces of cardboard? As for weed seedlings nosing their tough snouts up among the lettuces, they shouted. Love, love, sing the soldiers, raising their glittering knives in salute. Then there's the two of us. This word is far too short for us. It has only 4 legs, too sparse to fill those deep, bare vacuums between the stars that press on us with their deafness. It's not love we don't wish to fall into, but that fear. The word is not enough, but it will have to do. It's a single vowel in this metallic silence, a mouth that says, oh, again and again, in wonder and pain, a breath, a finger grip on the cliffside. You can hold on or let go. All right, and this is Cameron's poem. We auto suppressors, we have. She kind of sent it through the wonderful world of technology. Which I'm not a big fan of, but anyway. The word is pain. This is the word we use to express agony, to put a patch on the canyon-sized holes our hearts bear. We use it in a description of a pinprick, an open wound, a fractured home. Pain is the smile plastered under the noses of those most broken. The mask worn when our words can no longer express how much we hurt. Affection acts as the shoulders meant to carry the tear-filled, afflicted ducks. Scale from 1 to 10 with no true measure, no bandage quite as large, no number great enough, no definition as infinite, no medicine with the strength to numb. The final goodbye that rips a cavern in the soul. Pain is imagining the fade of all emotion, like the sun after its shift. Pain is watching the safety of sanity melt into the void of space. Pain is feeling frigid in the surrounding scorch of a crowd. Pain is knowing that you are alone amongst the dawn.
Hello is the grazing of my hand against the fresh green grass. Early mornings are fueled by the beads of dew that freckle my face, above my lips, kissing me hello with the crispness of an isolated ice floe. I see the hellos that rustle the trees, the same hellos that guide the hungry bees to the sickly sweet honey dripping down my knees. I know that a hello is synonymous with a goodbye that escapes all being when the final glimmer of spirit leaves, relenting any ability of fleeing.
Perfect. It's a baby swaddled in pink, soundly sleeping in her mother's arms. Her small, innocent being protected from the world, her breaths slow and quiet. It's her scribbles with chalk all over the sidewalk. Flowers and rainbows cover the ground. Her hands stained but untainted. It's her pirouettes around the yard, her leaps and her falls. Her dirt-covered dress and sweat-drenched hair, her body delicate and graceful. It's the large A stamped with red ink dangling on the kitchen fridge. The page showered with love, then overlooked and covered with the next. Her work meticulous and flawless. It's the tall awards enveloped with dust sitting on the shelf for everyone to see. Every single one a faint memory from before, her scars meaningless and forgotten. It's the boy at the door waiting for her. His smile wide, their arms intertwined, his intentions good and pure. It's the joy when they receive the letter, nothing could be better, their fate sealed, their future big and bright. It's his knee hitting the ground as he pulls a box from his pocket, their love true, their night enchanted and fond. It's the white lace covering her face as the silk glides across the grass, the flowers scattered on the ground, their tears tender and hopeful. It's the words spouted when she feels less than. You're perfect. Perfect. But she's not. It's the baby screaming for her mother's arms. It's her flowers washed away by rain. It's her twirls abruptly ended in scars. It's her tears bleak and hopeless. She failed time and time again. She fought and cried. She never felt good enough. She tried and tried. It's their words laced with sarcasm. Well, that's just perfect. Something she'll never be, something I'll never be, something you'll never be. We will never be perfect.
It's my fatal flaw. I always take it way too far.
I'm not happy with any scab until it becomes a scar. But why do you have to treat me like I'm Eve after the fall? Is it my fault that you seemingly have none? But I'm not just Katie because I fell from grace. I was drop-kicked from the cloud and sent spiraling through the sky, straight to the stars to live with the rest of your problems. My faults. I know we were meant to be, but maybe just not meant to last. Like the little hands holding glass that shake harder and harder and harder than before until it shatters on the hardwood floor. A hard stop to an easy beginning. But you have the hands that dropped me. I am the glass that you let slip through your fingers and break into a million pretty pieces. So I ask again, is it really my fault? It's been a year, and those sharp-edged shards shine like stars now. Stars that don't care if it was your fault or mine. But there will always be a somethingness to our nothing. Even if we are no longer somebodies to each other's someones, somehow, sometimes, I wish there was some place for us to have landed. But for now, the sky full of faults suits me just fine.
Power, the immeasurable grip of your once ally used against you, forever changed. The vulnerability of a relationship exploited. A redwood fell to the scissors of one who knew exactly where to cut. The disruptive nature of humanity forcing its will onto the dirt beneath them, believing themselves to be more than the blades of grass they trample, another colony fell to the incompetence, ignorance, and destiny of an outsider. From the beginning of civilization, men who weren't even stonemason, undercut, undermine, take advantage, no rhyme, reason, or bandage. Countries arise to decimate civility, infidels rule with no humility. How do we overthrow a system so corrupt? The known reality, can we be so sure the coup won't interrupt? Or would all our lives be gone and just erupt? Your mother, your father, and family at large, do you ever pray upon a star that their power will be stripped, like your innocence, sanity, or peace? The control you swear to never recreate, the pain you promise to never recreate, and the trauma you wish to never recreate, you recreate with friends, in class, in relationships, and even with strangers, like the genes of a flightless bird, you can never fly away. DC from inception flawed, blood-paved streets with hypocrisy as pavement, but what would you do with that control? Can you blame the controller, the one in power? Can everyone be in power? The cars you crashed, the dolls you manhandled. Can you expect the government to be anything but entangled? Like a shoelace of impurity, constantly tying and binding the seeds of apocalypse to humanity, power over the ones you love. Assimilation, association, aggravation.
Marvelous performances by memoir and fiction, and we'll be having Dakota with poetry. First, before I sort of give you the frame for what it is the class has put together. I mean, they put it together, they did it all on their own, and it's just such an incredible blessing to work with them. I would just like to recognize our chief tax, Maya and Riley, who have done just an incredible job for Emmanuel and Mary and myself, and we were just really incredibly fortunate to have them this summer. Now, what the class has put together is a performance based on a poem by Margaret Atwood called Variations on the Word Love. And they picked another word, a variation on a word, and they'll tell you what those words are in the chorus and in the finality, the finale of their piece. And yeah, so I'm going to read the poem it's based on by Margaret Atwood, who's a Canadian poet and novelist, and also the author of The Handmaid's Tale. And if we had more time, we'd be doing some more of her poetry too. But I picked that one to do. And then after I read Margaret Atwood's poem, I'm going to read Cameron Rawls' poem, who couldn't be with us today. And Cameron was, well, still is, even in her absence, a marvelous presence in the class, and we all love Cameron. So this is the Margaret Atwood poem. Variations on the word love. This is a word we use to plug holes with. It's the right size for those warm blanks in speech, for those red heart-shaped vacancies on the page that look nothing like real hearts. Add lace and you can sell it. We insert it also in the one empty space on the printed form that comes with no instructions. There are whole magazines with not much in them, but the word love. You can rub it all over your body and you can cook with it too. How do we know it isn't what goes on in the cool debaucheries of slugs under damp pieces of cardboard? As for the weed seedlings nosing their tough snouts up among the lettuces, they shouted, "Love, love," sing the soldiers, raising their glittering knives. Then there's the two of us. This word is far too short for us. It has only 4 letters, too sparse to fill those deep, bare vacuums between the stars that press on us with their defenses and their deafness. It's not love we don't wish to fall into, but that fear. This word is not enough, but it will have to do. It's a single vowel in this metallic silence. A mouth that says, "Oh," again and again in wonder and pain. A breath, a finger grip on the cliffside. You can hold on or let go. And now Cameron's poem. And the word is pain. This is the word we use to express agony, to put a patch on the canyon-sized holes our hearts bear. We use it in a description of a pinprick, an open wound, a fractured home. Pain is the smile plastered under the noses of the most broken, the mask worn when our words can no longer express how much we hurt. Affection acts as the shoulders that carry the tear-filled, afflicted ducks. Scale from 1 to 10 with no true measure. No bandage quite as large, no number great enough, no definition as infinite, no medicine with the strength to numb. The final goodbye that rips a cavern into the soul. Pain is imagining the fade of all emotion, like the sun after its shift. Pain is watching the safety of sanity melt into the void of space. Pain is feeling frigid in the surrounding scorch of a crowd. Pain is knowing you are alone amongst the noise.
grazing of my hand against the fresh green grass. Early mornings are fueled by the beads of dew that freckle my face above my lips, kissing me hello with the crispness of an isolated ice floe. I see the hellos that rustle the trees, the same hellos that guide hungry bees to the sickly sweet honey dripping down my knees. I know that a hello is synonymous with a goodbye that escapes all being when the final glimmer of spirit leaves, limiting any ability of fleeing.
Perfect. It's a baby swaddled in pink, soundly sleeping in her mother's arms, her small, innocent being protected from the world. Her breaths slow and quiet. It's her scribbles with chalk all over the sidewalk. Flowers and rainbows cover the ground, her hands stained but untainted. It's her pirouettes around the yard, her leaps and her falls, her dirt-covered dress and sweat-drenched hair, her body delicate and graceful. It's the large A stamped with red ink dangling on the kitchen fridge, the page showered with love, then overlooked and covered with the next, her work meticulous and flawless. It's the tall awards enveloped with dust, sitting on the shelf for everyone to see, every single one a faint memory from before, her scars meaningless and forgotten. It's the boy at the door, waiting for her. His smile wide, their arms intertwined, his intentions good and pure. It's the joy when they receive the letter, nothing could be better, their fate sealed, their future big and bright. It's his knee hitting the ground as he pulls a box from his pocket, their love true, their night enchanted and fond. It's the white lace covering her face as the silk glides across the grass, the flowers scattered on the ground, their tears tender and hopeful. It's the words spouted when she feels less than. You're perfect. Perfect. But she's not. It's the baby screaming for her mother's arms. It's her flowers washed away by rain. It's her twirls abruptly ended in scars. It's her tears bleak and hopeless. She failed time and time again. She fought and cried. She never felt good enough. She tried and tried. It's their words laced with sarcasm. Well, that's just perfect. Something she'll never be, something I'll never be, something you'll never be, we will never be perfect.
It's my fatal flaw. I always take it way too far. I'm not happy with any scab until it becomes a scar. But why do you have to treat me like I'm Eve after the fall? Is it my fault that you seemingly have none? But I'm not just Katie because I fell from grace. I was drop-kicked from the cloud and sent spiraling through the sky, straight to the stars, to live with the rest of your problems. My faults. I know we were meant to be, but maybe just not meant to last. Like the little hands holding glass that shake harder and harder and harder than before until it shatters on the hardwood floor. A hard stop to an easy beginning. But you have the hands that dropped me. I am the glass you let slip through your fingers and break into a million pretty pieces. So I ask again, is it really my fault? It's been a year, and those sharp-edged shards shine like stars now. Stars that don't care if it was your fault or mine, but there will always be a somethingness to our nothing. Even if we are no longer somebodies to each other's someones, somehow, sometimes, I wish there was some place for us to have landed. But for now, the sky full of faults suits me just fine.
Power, the immeasurable grip of your once ally used against you, forever changed. The vulnerability of a relationship exploited. A redwood fell to the scissors of one who knew exactly where to cut. the disruptive nature of humanity forcing its will into the dirt beneath them. Believing themselves to be more alive than the blades of grass they trample, another colony fell to the incompetence, ignorance, and destiny of an outsider. From the beginning of civilization, men who weren't even stonemason, undercut, undermine, take advantage, no rhyme, reason, or bandage. Countries arise to decimate civility. Infidels rule with no humility. How can we overthrow a system so corrupt? The known reality, can we be sure the coup won't interrupt? Or would all our lives just be gone and just erupt? Your mother, your father, and family at large, do you ever pray upon a star that their power would be stripped like your innocent sanity or peace? The control you swear to never recreate, the pain you promise to never recreate, the trauma you wish to never recreate, you recreate. With friends, in class, in relationships, and even with strangers. Like the genes of a flightless bird, you can never fly away. DC from inception flawed, blood-paved streets with hypocrisy as pavement. But what would you do with that control? Can you blame the controller, the one in power? Can everyone be in power? The cars you crashed, the dolls you manhandled. Can you expect the government to be anything but entangled? Like the shoelace of impurity, constantly tying and binding the seeds of apocalypse to humanity. Power over the ones you love. Assimilation, association, aggravation.
Ignorance. Ignorance is an open wound. Blood drips due to the heat of June. Education will sow it soon. The fog of absurd obscenities reduces understanding of blurred complexities, dissipates the understanding and confusion from the lenses of cloth and lenses of glasses. Each tissue of tension it passes, the suturing of the wound, assiduously learning, you will see elasticity, collagen, tenacity pulling in, enlightened with vision of truly seeing, questioning with why it wasn't so visible before, so simple and core, but the chalk density with depth, and the speaker's ease will, for the student is the thread, and the teacher is the needle.
Lost. A word typically attached to left-footed socks and black ballpoint pens, but casually extends its hands. To meet a child lost in unrest, as cold frost-bitten tips scrape across the child's chapped lips, moments before mother's dampening embrace. Lost. A word that describes the journey through amber-colored eyes in a race against time. Oh, the mind insists on playing cheap tricks to keep two souls aligned, wandering, rather, fancying the depths of an eye. Lost. A word referenced amongst the momentary madness where there are friction-caused sparks and swiftly dashing remarks during moonlit sachets, with fingers grazing palms amidst a starry haze. Lost, a word that in layman's terms is troubling. As paths slowly twist and turn past the point of no return, Saint Anthony, we call out to thee, the patron saint of lost things. Saint Anthony, this time 'tis not pens or socks, but I still have faith in finding what hath been lost.
Home. Although my house is home, pictures and frames within my heart, and the walls have witnessed my struggles and successes, I have quickly come to the realization that a house cannot be a home without love. And love has been seasonal in my house, springing softly in solitude or falling fearlessly into the fragility of life. Home is where love is. It is found within the wrinkles that unfold like fresh linen around the mouths of familiar faces. Home is where love is. It is a distorted image that appears as I glance into the constant reminder that life can never be lived twice.
a comfortable place. I have quickly disregarded my previous notions, for home is no longer where my head sinks into the cloud I sit upon as the film begins rolling, or where my mother embraces me when the weight of the world feels insurmountable. Longing to find that feeling in a place has become a ceaseless pursuit. Discovering what I assume to be permanence resembles finding a needle in a haystack. Impossible. Home is constantly flowing. It is an inconsistent variable of existence, and none of which are meant to be permanently our own. So bask in the warmth of love. Embrace its uncomfortable uncertainty, for its meaning is written within its flaws. Please cease this exhaustive pursuit, because home is love.
Special. A white stone mushroom, rough on the edge, a tiny piece chipped from the top. 3 tiny legs of a trinket metal pot. A hot pink bead with pinpointed white dots, a coiled up garland of shiny green shamrocks. A sheer blue tank top with intricate designs inked on it. A cream-colored drawstring bag, glitter sifting through. Mixed with then are 4-leaf clovers, dried in a book, occasionally taken out to be wished upon for good luck. A black jewelry box, gold metal adjacent to the hinges, an opal stone pressed against a silver casing. A white mint tin with thin brown trim, decorated with pink scraps of paper, inside it miniature rainbow bottles of glitter. A Hello Kitty bag with glamorous sequins, inside a beige crochet link chain of stitches. A shriveled up bean shell picked out of the garden, from long ago now faded green and spotted. Shells and rocks weighing pounds on a scale, and turkey feathers fragile and frail. Bottles from trash piles sunken deep into the rich fertile ground of the woods below my house, discarded and refound. Sitting in drawers, on parts and shelves, on bookcases, tree stumps, mirrors, and windowsills, we keep these items to others are insignificant, because they are special to each person because of the memories we hold with them.
Breath. Shot out at an infant's first squeal, its rattling removal is the last thing you ever feel. Staggering to catch it after a nearly won race, its side release as a look of disappointment mars your frowning face. Swiftly sucked inward at a sudden surprise, its steady fall and rise paired with meditative closed eyes. Sudden gusts during an illness's sneeze, its fleeting fogged puffs in frigid winter's freeze. Sharing it between fervent kisses, its asthmatic wheezing hisses, shallow shaking as to not be heard during an intense game of hide and seek, its tentative textbook pattern as you speak. Stolen when one enters the room shining golden, its haggard repetition when there's no more Zyrtec in the kitchen. Strictly measured and controlled under a physician's stethoscope, its utter lack when you begin to choke. Securing it tightly when you dive, its necessity every few seconds if you wish to survive. Or, what about the quivering quake as one begins to shake, progressing with each stifled inhale you make as smothered sobs echo off the shadowed wall? You're unsure of what even happened at all. An unnerving routine of the forest fire that rages behind the scene when crushed, cracking leaves, memories that remain unseen, lay along the woodland floor, so thick one can't even see where they end anymore. One flicked cigarette is all it can take for the precariously placed scenes to finally break. An attack of insurmountable proportions leaves lungs ceasing in concerning contortions, ferocious flames leaving only ashes in their wake, clearing away the suffocating foliage for growth's sake, saying, just take a deep breath, doesn't make you wise, just as pointing out the rising smoke doesn't earn you a Nobel Peace Prize. As you see, for the redwoods and spruce to sprout into the sky, underbrush and shrubbery has to undoubtedly burn and die, just as some people must make shattering screams and deafening cries in order for them to ever move even incrementally forward in their lives. When the smog clears and one's face dries, the first unfettered gasp is the ultimately cherished prize. The one stuttered breath of fresh air, surfacing life from the depths of debilitating despair.
Goodbye. How can I even begin to define a word as delicate as goodbye? Goodbye is the fallen salty soldier on your inked page smudging as you cry. It's the long-lasting look before a midnight train fades into the night. It's the flutter of a butterfly whose wings ignite with golden light as it soars through the mystic of a pale moonlight. Goodbye is the last breath beside an inherited bedside table, and loved ones gasping for fresh air at every moment that they're able. It's a look in the wrong direction at the wrong time for a person long gone. It's waving peace signs into the blinding rays of a rising dawn. Goodbye is being consumed by the green face of envious lust, and remembering the good old days that have slowly turned into dust. It's those stubborn secret loves you just can't seem to shake. It's special pieces of people you remember everywhere you take. Goodbye is the last laugh and giant grin on your face as you smile, and it's that last hug you'll remember for quite a while. It's melancholy car rides from far, far away, and those bittersweet moments where you just can't find the right words to say. Goodbye is synchronized dancing on a warm summer's night, and snow-covered days where everything seems to be just right. It's the final Sunday morning as you sit down the round table for breakfast. It's the beautiful nostalgia you remember as the very best. Goodbye isn't always good, nor is it always bad, and it isn't always a memory of something sad or something you once had. Goodbye is a recollection of people past and moments we may wish would always last. Goodbye may be the very last words you say to any fellow human being on any given day. Goodbye is something we say with weight, though even we don't know how, and I'm afraid it's something I must say to